Hi everyone, Mike here with Merch by Amazon search optimization video. And what we're going to be looking at specifically is how Amazon search engine works. And then we'll look at some tips and tricks about how to, make the best titles, bullet points, and descriptions so that your products actually show up in your customers' search results. Now, I want to point out quickly that as I was doing this research, a lot of my information I gathered from these two websites, awesomedynamic.com and singlegrain.com. These websites have nothing to do with me, but as I was researching, these are the two that stood out with the information that they were providing, and then also the relevance and their reputation. So that's where the information came from. Now, I'll do separate this video into two parts. Basically, the first one will be, as I mentioned, how Amazon search engine works, and then what you can do to actually get your results to show up in specific searches and not something that's completely generic that won't actually, result in a sale. So let's go through, what Amazon is looking at when they're showing products to customers, and then what you can do to, make it the best that you can. Now, this video was requested by a lot of lower tiers, 10, 25, 100, just to kind of test things out and see what works for people in higher tiers, and then what they can do to, get better results. So just a quick overview of what Amazon is looking for. So this here summarizes that the Amazon search algorithm identifies relevance factors based on shoppers' past traffic activity, and then that tells Amazon's website how to tailor search results based on the interest of that customer. So I guess a lot of what this point explains we don't have a lot of control over, but still, this is something that the algorithm considers. So the second point, the Amazon search algorithm is used by Amazon to assure, and this is important, that the best-selling products with the best margins by the most customer-centric sellers are placed in front of searching customers. So what does that mean? Amazon wants to make money, and then they want to advertise products uh, of sellers that care about the customer. So what does that mean? That they offer good service, that they have good quality products, that product is in stock, and then it will help if you have good feedback from customers. Now, again, a lot of these things we don't have control over, and I'll mention why that matters later on. Okay, so let's look at some. This is still part of the background. What goes on as the customer is searching for results or products. Other things that are actually considered. So this is if you were actually not listing a product through merch. These are the things that Amazon will consider uh, when actually pulling products to put them in front of the customer. And I'll go through this quickly, and then we can discuss, for example, what we have control over and what we don't. Account health, that's pretty straightforward. Order processing, brand, photos, click-through rate, and conversion rate. Now, things that we definitely don't have control over are photos and then order processing. The other things we can somewhat, I don't want to say influence, but we have some kind of say or control over what we do. Now, account health. This again, if you're selling through FBA, uh, you know that delivery time is very important. Feedback that you receive from your customers, if there have been any complaints, any returns, all that kind of stuff. So we don't have control over that with merch. So we don't actually really consider that because Amazon is taking care of most of it. But again, uh, customer reviews are important. So that's something to consider. Order processing, up to Amazon. Photography, we have zero say. We're given the one picture of the t-shirt and then the size chart. Brand. So this is actually, as you can see here, if you control the brand, it is to your benefit to include it in the product's listing title. Now, that's a recommendation, but a lot of merch sellers actually choose not to do that because they're combining the brand text field with the title option to, I guess, make it as specific as possible. Click-through rate and conversion rate are actually very important. So the point of these two points is that when a customer is searching for something, and later on I used an example of a sailboat t-shirt. So, and I'll use that here just to have consistency. So and we're talking about click-through rate. If a customer is looking for a t-shirt of a sailboat, and they actually type that into a search result, you want your t-shirt to be what they are looking for, because if a customer types in sailboat t-shirt and yours shows up and they click on it, that will actually rate it higher in the future when other customers are looking for it. And then the conversion rate is actually if a customer buys it. So the higher percentage of those two things is, the more success you will have in the future. And I talk about this specifically later on, but I just want to mention it quickly that if somebody's looking for a sailboat t-shirt, and let's say some of the t-shirts that you have are, ocean themed or boating themed, and they keep showing up in when somebody's looking for a sailboat t-shirt, if the customers don't click on your product and even going further, don't buy it, you will rate lower in search results going forward because that is not what the customer is looking for. And we'll talk about that in a bit. Price, again, important, but again, keep in mind that Amazon wants to make some money as well. Customer feedback, inventory, product listings overall, I guess, titles, feature with bullet points, description, all that kind of stuff. Profitability, and then it goes again, title and variations. Now, a lot of these things, again, we don't have control over, but we can definitely control the title, and we can talk about bullet points, and we'll talk about that in a bit. Okay, so this, I just basically threw up a picture of a random t-shirt with a generic heart graphic, but I wanted to basically look at what we can do, what we have control over. Brand name, which is, of course, mandatory. Title of product, mandatory fields. These three are optional. Now, how important are they? They are important, and we'll look at why and what you can do with your key product features if you have time, and then even going further with product description. And the only reason I'm saying that is because a lot of people choose not to take advantage of these two fields. And the reason is that they are sticking with that narrow search result or narrow keyword search that where they don't want their products showing up in search results of things that aren't very specific to what they're trying to sell. If that doesn't make sense, I would say just give a couple more minutes because we're going to go over that. So before I go into some examples, one thing to note here is not to stuff your titles with keywords, and we'll talk about the reason. Now, this was common a few years ago, but then shoppers and Amazon didn't like it, it's not effective, and it's actually suggested not to do that. If you've even tried doing that with certain titles where you're not actually describing the design of what you're trying to sell or your t-shirt, Amazon will not approve um, your listing. They will actually reject it based on that. So do not stuff your title with keywords. Let's look at some of these examples, and we'll talk about stuffing, we'll talk about relevance, and we'll talk about uh, what makes sense for you. So example one, and I'll go back to that sailboat, and you'll actually see this if you play around with search and try to see what other sellers have done. So the best case scenario is that this is your title, because if you are actually selling a sailboat t-shirt, if it's something related to that, then you want to play around. But if you're basically trying to sell a t-shirt with a picture of a sailboat and you believe that this is how the customer will look for it, this is probably your best bet, because this will come up when somebody's looking for a sailboat. And if you actually have a picture of a sailboat and it's something that the customer desires, it actually looks good, and they click on it and then go further and buy it, this will work uh, a lot of the time. Now, example two is if you want to broaden that, I guess, search results with, not with, but actually make it available to customers that aren't only looking for a sailboat t-shirt, but that might be looking for a nautical t-shirt or something that's actually related to that. So you can throw that in. Going further, for example, this is a different way to structure your title if you are kind of hesitant to only sell it to a very narrow group of customers. So you say, you know what, I actually want to include this to people that might be looking for some kind of a boating party t-shirt, and then you say, uh, well, people are going to wear this in the summertime, so I might as well throw that in, and then you craft your title to something like sailboat nautical t-shirt summer party boating, and then a lot of people will finish it with design, a theme, or maybe tea. But keep in mind, now you're getting into that title stuffing approach that is not recommended. And example four is what would be considered uh, title stuffing, which also includes a bit of a specific terminology. So example four is sailing, nautical, water sports, ocean, lake, boating tee. Now you're really listed as many things. The chances are your t-shirt will show up in all kinds of search results, but the important question is, will anyone click on it? And then going further, will anyone buy it? If the answer is no, then do not do this. It simply doesn't make sense. If you want to sell a sailboat t-shirt, describe it for what it is. Let's look at some of the bullet points, and this is where I guess making combinations of keywords is important, and this is where it's helpful. So like I said, a lot of people choose to list a very narrow and very specific title and nothing else, no bullet points or descriptions. But then again, if you have time and you're willing to actually broaden it, to play around with combinations of keywords, this is what you want to do. So one of the points would say something like, for example, nautical t-shirt for a sailboat fan. So now you've included nautical and you're talking about the sailboat, which is the initial idea. This boating t-shirt, again, these are not my points. These are points from top selling and shirts that have actually uh, come up in my search results when I was looking for sailboat t-shirts. This boating shirt is vintage distressed style for lovers of sailing, nautical, coastal lifelines. So this person actually goes into a lot more detail, which is related to sailboats. They're mentioning boats, they're mentioning lake, ocean, uh, vintage and distressed. Now, I'm assuming this is something specific that they wanted to throw in. So maybe vintage is trendy, and they're trying to throw that into a description. All of this works if the combinations are right. If you were talking about, for example, uh, and you can actually, if you spend some time doing research and seeing what other people have done, you'll see that a lot of people include the occasion for which they think this shirt will sell. So, for example, birthdays, Christmas, the big race, okay, I guess, sailboat races or whatever this person is going for. Uh, One thing I would suggest is this is okay, but again, be very careful with it, because if you're just stuffing this with random things, it will not help you. But if you feel kind of like, you know what, this actually makes sense. Somebody is going to look for a sailboat race uh, T-shirt, then it makes sense to include, for example, this terminology in there. But don't just do it because you think that somebody's gonna wear a sailboat T-shirt to a rave, and now you're just listing everything. Those are not good combinations to do, because again, you want to be specific. You want to put the right product in front of the right customer. You don't want to just put any product in front of somebody, because it's not going to result in a sale. So this is one way to do it. This here is another example of one of the listings that was on first page and is one of the best sellers in this category. Again, this is not my brand or product, but I wanted to use it as an example here. So this person is actually using the company name, the title, and bullet points uh, to advertise the product. So let's look at what they've done. The company name, Sailboat Ocean Sailing Tees. So, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. They want this t-shirt to show up anytime somebody's looking at ocean theme, sailing t-shirts, or anything to do with sailboats. So they've included all that in the company name. They go further. So now they're repeating some of this stuff in the title. Sailboat Blueprint Design Shirt. And then they go further to say, Old Ocean Sailing Boat Tee. So there's a lot of combinations with similar words or combinations of the same word. And then they go into their bullet points, and they're talking about, as you can see here, beautiful. So they describe the sailboat tee again, and they're using different terminology, because sailboat shirt was used up here, and then sailing boat tee. So again, different combination of the same words. And then they go into, they're putting sentences together, but basically saying, great for anybody who loves old sailboats, small sailboats, lake sailing. So they're actually using a lot of this terminology because they want it to be picked up, and it is actually working. So again, couple of things. There's no need to stuff it with random occasions, random times of the year, seasons. For example, some people will say great for summer, winter, fall, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't really matter. You want to stay on point, as this person has. And then let's see what's actually important here, and kind of in summary. Relevance. Ask yourself this question: will your customer actually find a product that they're looking for based on the information that you have provided? And this is the information that you've provided in the company name, title, keywords, and the description. So if somebody's looking for a 10th birthday party gift tee, is that what they're getting? So will your product, which is actually a gift for a 10th birthday party, show up? Or will your product show up in the search results but not be specific to your customer's needs? And let's go back to this example. So if somebody's looking for a 10th birthday party gift tee, will your t-shirt that's actually for a 25th birthday party show up because of the keywords that you've used? And that's basically the summary of this whole video, is get the right product in front of the customer. Do not include as many keywords as you can because you think that it's going to show up in search results. The answer is it will show up, but it won't make any difference because nobody will click on it or buy it because that is not what they're looking for. So be specific to what your product is. Now, sometimes it could be, for example, a picture of something random. And again, I'm just going to come up with something like a triangle. But if you know that that's an inside joke for something else, and those are the keywords that you're using, that's what you should do. But again, if you're simply trying to sell a t-shirt that has a triangle on it, describe it in that way. So again, in summary, Amazon considers a lot of things. They consider not just your keywords, they consider your store's reputation, feedback, reviews, inventory, profitability of products, variations. A lot of these things, again, we do not have control over as merch by Amazon sellers because we don't have control over those aspects or parts of a listing, but we do control other things. So basically, I guess if we go to this slide, the one thing to consider is everything that you have control over. So if you do have a little more time, make it very specific to your product. Do not go broad unless you believe that that's a strategic way to sell more shirts. Because and again, I know I've said this before, but you want to get the product that the customer is looking for in front of them. You do not just want to get a product in front of them in hopes that they will buy it, because they won't. Anyways, I think this video I guess went on long enough, just long enough to provide enough information. There's a lot more to consider. There are a lot more examples that we can go through. Let me know what you are looking for specifically, but when it comes to keywords, this is the approach. Stay relevant and give the customer what they're looking for. Like always, thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any advice, feedback, or any ideas or suggestions for anybody that might be watching this, please share, and I guess we'll go from there. We'll do another video. Thanks.